Polls were showing a shakeup in the contentious race in the Democratic primary for New York City mayor.
Brooklyn Borough President Eric Adams is still in the lead, but progressive candidate Maya Wiley is surging. And depending on the polls, she's listed in either second or third place. And she took on her competitors last night in the debate. She's joining us this morning, Democratic mayoral candidate Maya Wiley. Nice to have you back here.
Well, wonderful to be with you, Rosanna and Bianca.
Thanks for having me. Maya, I want to play just a little clip of you and Eric Adams going at it over defunding the police. Let's listen.
You don't have to worry about danger when you have private security on your block. I don't and never will allow stop and frisk to be returned and abuse people. I know real solution for real people in New York is you have private security. You don't have to worry about any of that stuff.
Did you think that Eric Adams was hitting below the belt? There's been reports that your family has hired private security in your neighborhood at a time where crime is surging in New York City.
You know, what I think Eric Adams was doing was distracting from the very things we need to be talking about in terms of what keeps us safe. And I spent the night and I've spent this campaign focused on people and what they have been calling for who are in impacted communities.
I know, but is it hypocritical for you to say we're going to take money away from the police when most New Yorkers, I think like close to 80% of New Yorkers, want to see police back on the streets in black and brown communities, and you're saying, you know, we need to reimagine this at a time where crime is surging and your neighborhood is safe?
Well, first of all, you know, I've done vigils in my neighborhood around police shootings, walking distance from my house. This is not an issue that is about having people on the streets observing and patrolling without guns, because in Brownsville, Brooklyn, which has on Mother Gaston Boulevard, which has some of the highest rates of violence, what the community did was ask the police department to step back, let them, in an alliance of organizations that do services, supports, and also mediation and crisis management. And they've reduced 911 calls to the NYPD, cut them in half because the police agreed to step back and step off. And what we have to understand is it's not about not having police. Of course, we need police and we will have police. It's that we have to have smart policing. And right now, so many of the calls that go to 911, depending on what data you're looking at, you know, as much as 40 to 60%, are not for anything that requires a badge or a gun. And so what we're really talking about is not defunding the police. We're talking about responding to what communities are saying keep them safe, including in black and brown communities. We are talking about what has been proven, that is evidence-based, that works. And we're talking about the right balance so that we can call the police when we need them, but we also are investing in the things that prevent the gun from being shot in the first place. And that's what Brownsville has shown. Rock safe streets in Far Rockaway, where Justin Wallace was shot and killed, that 10-year-old boy. That was outrageous. It was also preventable.
But let me ask you something. There is black on black crime in New York City, Ms. Wiley. You know that. Right. Ray McGuire tried to bring that out last night. Diane Morales got all over him about defunding the police. Do you believe, like Diane Morales does, that Ray McGuire has no right to speak about black and brown communities because he's done well?
I just think the issue is what New Yorkers want. It's to feel safe. And I think the conversation we have to have, instead of throwing barbs at one another, is actually to talk about what that is and talk about the substance of our differences. I mean, because as I was saying, in Far Rockaway, they're asking for, after that shooting, they're asking for social workers.
Now,
they're asking
Mike,
for
can I just interrupt you real fast?
Using our resources smartly.
I totally understand, you know, getting to the root of the problem where you want to fix mental health. You want to start at the root cause. But when you talk about your voters, these are the people that you work with day in and day out. Democrats, you have 81% of them in the Bronx saying that they want to see more police in the subway. 68% want to see more police in the subway in other boroughs. So how do you accomplish that when you want to take away $1 billion from, you know, $5+ billion-dollar budget, an operating budget? It just doesn't make sense maybe to the average voter how you want to accomplish smarter policing by taking away more money?
Because it's a bloated, ineffective, mismanaged department. And here's the thing, it is critically important if we're going to solve our problems and meet our people's needs, that we be honest about what's happening. There's no other agency in government that could get away with the waste and the lack of accountability that the New York City Police Department gets away with. And that's why I'm going to have a soup to nuts audit of the budget, but I am going to shift $1 billion, but it's not because it's going to be impacting police, because the truth is we have so many police officers sitting in patrol cars and responding to a fender bender. I've seen fender benders in this neighborhood where you get sometimes 3 patrol cars, 2 officers deep, and all you actually need is a tow truck and someone to direct the traffic around from the vehicle on the side of the road.
And I think a lot of people would agree with you. But I just want to shift the question over to something else. The DOE, that takes up a whole lot of money from the city's budget. Talking about retaining the state cap on charter schools, are you against that? I know a lot of people are not against that because they're saying that these charter schools do a great job, an even better job in educating Black and brown minorities. So what's your stance on that?
First of all, every New York City child are our children, and so we're going to make sure we're investing in them. But here's the thing that we have to understand. We do have schools that work, and we do have schools that fail. That's true of the schools that DOE runs and controls. It is also true of charter schools. I do support keeping the cap, and I'm going to make sure parents have a real choice in choosing a New York City public school that the DOE runs. And I'm going to do that starting with ending discriminatory admissions practices, but I'm also going to do that by investing in our schools appropriately, because we need more teachers to bring down class sizes. I'm going to hire 2,500 more teachers. That's resources into the classroom, not into the central bureaucracy of DOE, so that we are bringing down class sizes, and we are going to make and create student support teams, make sure we're identifying students who have learning disabilities, make sure we're identifying students who have and need trauma-informed care, because those things bring violence and discipline issues down and send graduation rates up. It is making our schools better, and that's what I'm going to focus on as mayor.
So, Maya, you've gotten some great endorsements, AOC, and you've gotten some big money from George Soros, $500,000. I think people are inquiring about your relationship with George Soros, and will you owe him anything if you get the job?
I think what people should know is I'm very proud of the fact that we've built so much momentum, as my team calls it, Maya-mentum, and we've done it from the ground up. I've actually been outspent in this campaign, and that is because I announced in October and have never run for political office before. But we've built it from the ground up because folks like 1199 SEIU, our nurses, our home health aides, people who are essential workers have come and rallied around this campaign as early as February. And pulling in the entire Brooklyn delegation to Congress, from Congressman Hakeem Jeffries and Congresswoman Nydia Velázquez and Congresswoman Yvette Clarke, are because about what the solutions are we're going to provide.
I know, but the George Soros connection concerns some people.
I'll tell you one thing. Independent expenditures, what people need to understand is we don't have any conversations or controls over them. This is about Citizens United. I am actually someone who's opposed Citizens United. There is and can be and will never be any contact about whatever's going on with that independent expenditure. We simply can't comment on it because we don't know. But here's the thing. What we've done is built a people-powered campaign. I'm really proud to have so many small donors. I'm proud that I take not one dime from real estate developers or lobbyists or fossil fuel or police department. And as the candidate who is simply not taken any of those dollars, unlike some of the other candidates in this race, and as a candidate is not supported by anyone other than the people of the city of New York, I'm really proud and excited about just how much we're going to show what it means to have a responsive government that's in touch with what people are actually experiencing.
All right, Maya Wiley, we appreciate you coming on Good Day New York.
Yes.
Thank you so much for sharing your opinions with us this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.